So where is the tissue for the mitral valve and the tricuspid valve? Where is the valve tissue? In the endocardial cushions. They have little prominences or tubercles. So, and those endocardial cushions are embedded in what type of tissue? Or what part of the ventricle? Where are your endocardial cushions? Where canal? But we have two AV canals, right? Remember we have one for the tricuspid valve and we have one for the mitral valve. What's the innermost layer of the ventricles? The endocardium. And your AV canals would be at the base of the ventricle, correct? So just remember where the AV canals are. You have two of them. One's going to be for the tricuspid valve, RV inflow, mitral valve, LV inflow, RV inflow and LV inflow. Those AV canals are at the base of its respective ventricle. So each of those cushions has little prominences or tubercles, and that gives rise to the leaflets. And we call those valve skirts. So when I say part of the ventricular wall, it is part of the ventricular wall. You have your AV canal, which is lined by endocardial cushions. Those endocardial cushions are in the ventricular endocardium. And so as those leaflets grow, and they're very thick, if you look at Netter, they're short and they're very thick, and as they grow, they delaminate. It's a process that, or a term used to describe how the leaflets are formed. It's called delamination, meaning that as those leaflets grow, they pull away from the endocardium, and that's called delamination. And the tricuspid valve has 3 leaflets. Your mitral valve actually has a skirt, four sheets of leaflet tissue, and those will actually fuse. But the process is the same for both valves. And so if those leaflets are not formed properly, if they don't pull away from the endocardium, this is called Epstein's anomaly. So this is the left side of the heart. Here's the tricuspid valve. It's displaced really low in the right ventricle. Its leaflets are stuck. They never pulled away completely from the wall. It's called Epstein's. And if you look here, the septal leaflet is stuck. So that process of delamination, that didn't happen. So the leaflets are still stuck to the right ventricular myocardium, endocardium. Yeah.
Just move it up.
Actually, the leaflets are typically, if it's mild Epstein's, they typically replace it. Because what happens is, see the valve here? It's really low in the right ventricle. And so this decreases the functional part of the right ventricle. And now it's atrialized, because this is RV, but it's not, it's right atrium. So they have to, like a valve like this, they'll remove the leaflets, they'll put a prosthetic valve in. Because the tricuspid valve should be right about here. It usually sits 1 centimeter closer to its apex than the mitral valve.
And the right atrium will kind of readjust to that new location, and
How much your RVOT?
that's not going to be permanent.
It's decreased. Actually, the RVOT is basically has to take over for the functional part of the right ventricle, because you decrease it. So if we take this tricuspid valve and I put it down here, I've lost part of my right ventricle. And, you know, this patient's right atrium is probably it's twice as big as the left ventricle. So that's Epstein. And I've only had one patient, and his was mild, and he was in his 40s and started he had pulmonary hypertension. So he came in with shortness of breath, he wasn't feeling well, so, you know, the right heart's very forgiving, but he did have some right ventricular volume overload, pulmonary hypertension, and found out that he had Epstein. So an easy fix. I mean, they get a new valve, but that's repairable.
What does the AL stand for and the ALMB and TD?
Anterior leaflet.
Anterior.
Yeah. Yeah. So the anterior leaflet of the mitral valve, the anterior leaflet of the tricuspid valve. But when you look in that, or the leaflets are very short and very thick. So they will thin out as the heart grows. So as the right ventricle grows, as, you know, and the annulus is going to get wider, the leaflets will thin out by the time 9 months. 9 months, the leaflets are going to look like your leaflets. Be nice and thin and mobile. Remember that, too, the chordae and the pat muscles also come from the endocardium and from the trabeculation. You got something?
Don't be doing this.
So,
Trying to help you.
it's okay.
She's spent.
I know, that's a lot.
Trying to grab that again.
So for your tricuspid valve, mitral valve, that's as much information as I'm going to go into. Just remember that everything that you need is in that AV canal. Those endocardial cushions are going to give rise to your leaflets. Those endocardial cushions are in your ventricular myocardium in the endo. It's already there. And then as they grow and thicken, it's called delamination. And so those leaflets, as they grow, they will pull away from the endocardium. And your cords and your pat muscles are there as well. And they come from the trabeculation. It's all connected. It's not your cords aren't formed separately then attached. It's all part of the leaflet formation. And I think this is the only picture I put in there that you guys have together. So very short, very thick. They don't move a lot. You know, when they're that short and that thick, there's very little motion. But as they start to thin out, they elongate, then they're going to move.
That seems like it's passive.
That's passive.